Hello and welcome back. Data. We keep hearing that we are in the data era. Data is all around us, and every second data is used, data is created, and data is collected. So we can safely say that data is transforming everything we do. Since we are studying machine learning, it might be a good idea to learn more about data. So let's keep things simple. We will say no data, no machine learning. Data is an integral part of the field of machine learning. So let's define data. We are going to a number of sources and see how they define data. And that should give us a good idea of what the word data means. We will start with Wikipedia, which define data as values of qualitative and quantitative variables. So for example, our personal information have both qualitative variables like our city, gender, softness of your skin, and the fact that you think machine learning is fun. And quantitative variables such as your height, weight, blood pressure, and so on. Another definition says that data is a collection of facts like numbers, words, measurements, descriptions, observations, and so on. Or simply, we can say that data is information. And since we will be using it in computers and machines, this data has to be eventually machine readable. So what kind of data is being collected? One is personal data, which we mentioned before, and it is the data that is specific to you. Your demographics, location, email address, and other identity factors. Anything you put on social media is most likely fall under personal data. Second is transactional data. Requires an action to collect. For instance, you click on an ad, you make a purchase, you visit a certain web page, etc. Web data. Any type of data you might pull from the internet. So we are talking about data that is not stored in an internal database. Another one is sensor data, produced by object, like smartwatch measuring your heart rate, sensors measuring the weather. Simply, it's data that is an output of a device, and many other types of data. So that's a lot of different types of data. However, even with each type, the format of the data could be different. Depends on the way it is collected. As a machine learning engineer or data scientist, you may receive the data in many different forms. You might think that data comes in an organized way, like a big Excel table with variables in columns and examples in rows, or something like that. But actually, most data starts off in a very raw form, and you will need to do some processing and cleaning to this data before you can use it. So let's talk about some different raw forms of data. Text data, which is probably the first thing that comes to mind. So you could be working with data sets that contain reviews, messages, tweets, something like that. Image data, like data sets of images which used by many applications, for instance, facial recognition software or object detection software. Sound data, like music and audio files. Biological data, related to humans, animals, plants, drugs, like your protein sequence or DNA. Signal data, electrical, motion, and multivariate data, weather, financial, internet. So there are a lot of data types and forms. And in the next course, we will cover how to convert and deal with the data when it comes to you in these forms, and some of the problems that may be associated with data that you will have to resolve. Typically, we start with data in one of these forms. Then you have to do cleaning and pre-processing, and once the data is tidy and ready, and we will talk about what that means, You apply the appropriate machine learning algorithm and build the solution model. You do some analysis afterwards and find some insights to eventually help answer a question or realize some findings that can help improve a product or an application or even create one. So let's take a moment and see the growth in the internet in just the past couple years. We have here a visual representation that is published in visualcapitalist.com, and it shows what happens in 1 minute in 2016 and compares it to 2017. Here are some popular platforms that most of us are aware of, and you most likely use one or more of them. As you can see, in 1 minute, there are 4.1 million views in YouTube, and 3.5 million searches in Google, and 29.2 million messages in WhatsApp, compared to 20.8 million messages. So we are talking about 1 minute, an almost 30% increase within 1 year. So that's an insane amount of information that is being collected. And companies who collect it want to make use of it at some point, either to improve their current services or to create new products. And they hope the data that they have can help them achieve that. And here where machine learning and data science come to play. And that is what you will be doing eventually. So now that we know the importance of data in machine learning area, let's try to answer the question formally. What is machine learning?